To break it all down, joining me here with his insight is Shai Franklin, Middle East analyst and former executive of the World Jewish Congress. Shai, are you surprised that the vote against Hamas at the UN didn't pass?
I'm not surprised. I think you had Thane Rosenbaum out earlier. He was surprised that it got so many votes in favor. It missed a two-thirds majority. Also, Hamas is not a state actor. It's not a member state. So I think it's unusual procedurally for the UN General Assembly to condemn groups like that. It's a terrorist organization. The UN has a very active framework against terrorism. And so there may have also been some concern about that. What's interesting is that Saudi Arabia was very active in fighting this resolution. And the Prime Minister Netanyahu has talked a lot about this new kind of tacit alliance with Saudi Arabia. I think it shows that at the end of the day, Saudi Arabia is still one of the leaders of the Arab League.
Right, and Israel is on the other side.
Yes.
Hamas is Israel's threat from the south. Let's move and talk about the threat from the north, which some would say is the bigger threat, and that is Hezbollah. The IDF, the Israeli military, is now operating there in the border area against these tunnels of Hezbollah. And the IDF says that this is part of the bigger plan that Hezbollah started working on back in 2012 to infiltrate inside Israel's territory and carry out an attack. So why do you think we're seeing this operation happening now if Hezbollah had this plan in the works for such a long time? Yeah,
these are sophisticated tunnels. And the idea, I mean, Israeli intelligence knew about these tunnels for some time. Why are they doing it right now? Why is Prime Minister Netanyahu being possibly indicted on various charges? Politicians do this kind of thing. It's certainly legitimate to go after the tunnels. It's legitimate to make a point of them. The timing may be political.
Do you think it might lead to a full-scale war with Hezbollah? And if so, then what's the balance of power? Because the last round between Israel and Hezbollah was very lethal in 2006.
I think if Hezbollah wanted a full-scale war, they would re-engage in a full-scale war. Getting rid of these tunnels is not going to. What it does actually is it limits them. It limits their capabilities. So now is not the time for them to start a full-scale war. And they have they can fire rockets if they want without the tunnels. They haven't done that yet. So I think what Israel's doing is very smart, because if they're going to get rid of the tunnels, they're doing it without affecting the civilian population. And that's how Hezbollah gains its support in southern Lebanon.
Let's talk about this support for a second. Not everyone, I would say half the country, more than half the country, doesn't really support Hezbollah. Hezbollah is both a military force in Lebanon and also a political force. Is it fair to say that they are the ones who are setting the tone in Lebanon? Because we've seen elections there in May. Ever since then, Prime Minister Hariri is not able to form a government, and he's blaming Hezbollah for that.
It's Hezbollah, and it's the sponsors of Hezbollah, the Iranians. And Saudi Arabia is involved also. If you recall, last year, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia basically held Prime Minister Hariri for several days incommunicado. Finally, President Macron prevailed, and he was released. So there are a lot of, I would call, great power politics or regional power politics affecting Lebanon. Israel as well has its interests. So I think Prime Minister Hariri is in a difficult situation. He certainly cannot simply decide that his army, his fairly weak army, is going to control Hezbollah.
The Lebanese army.
The Lebanese army, yes.
And, well, the Lebanese people, they are well aware of the price that Lebanon will pay for Hezbollah's actions against Israel, I would say.
Yes.
All right, Shai Franklin, thank you so much for coming here and breaking it all down for us.